All right, ready for Friday.
Yeah? Big plans?
hmm Yeah, I'm going to one of my buddy's daughter's play.
A play, huh?
A play, a show. I don't know. I'm just supposed to go. And I was going to sneak in high school theater beers, but my wife said no.
No. Absolutely not.
Thank you for downloading our recent episode. For more episodes like this, go to movieguyspodcast.podbean.com for more episodes. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of Movie Guys Podcast. And today, we're finally talking about the new Frankenstein movie for 2025. I'm excited. I have a lot of history with this. Can't wait to talk about it. Chad, how the hell you doing?
You have a lot of history with bringing dead things back to life. Is that what I understand? I have so many questions.
Yeah, ask away, bud.
I think this podcast is going to cross over with some health-related questions, some science-related questions. I didn't know this about you. I didn't know you were a little Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, maybe. But no. Big into the franchise. We in Movie Guys had Nosferatu just this past winter. Loved that movie. That's Dracula. Now we're ending the year with Frankenstein. This is my jam. Sign me up. I'm a big Frankenstein fanatic. So I went into this really excited to see what Guillermo was going to do. So hook, line, and sinker. I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, I'm here for it. I actually don't have any kind of history with Frankenstein. I don't. There's not a lot of lore that I know other than, you know, hey, it's Frankenstein. Somebody dressed up, and it's like, actually, it's Frankenstein's monster. It's not Doctor Frankenstein. That's about it.
So you never read the book?
Nope. Nope.
I had to in high school. I was the only one in my class that actually loved it. I've read it once in college. It's a terrible read. It's really bad. If you like Frankenstein and you read the book, you're going to be completely disappointed. This movie is as closest to the original book that you're going to get. There's a lot of changes, but this is the closest you're going to get.
All right. Well, I'm here for it. I'm excited to learn from you. I'm excited to learn from the master.
Well, okay, so Frankenstein's monster in the book is not, the green scale, the green skin, like the dome head and the bolts of the neck. That's absolutely crazy. But that's the standard that we know, right? There's also another movie that came out in the 90s, directed by Kenneth Branagh, who plays Victor Frankenstein. And the movie's called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And Robert De Niro's the monster.
Ooh, I'm
believe it or not.
that. I really like Kenneth Branagh.
And Elizabeth becomes the bride of Frankenstein, and that's played by Helena Bonham Carter. It's a very good movie. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, now I'm definitely gonna have to go and watch that. That sounds awesome.
It's called Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That one is close to the book too, but the Victor Frankenstein that we get in this movie is not at all what the original source material was. In the original source material, Victor Frankenstein was what we would call nowadays a yuppie, right? Some late 20s, rich silver spoon kid who wanted to play God, pretty much. Okay. And his parents were not dead. He would write to his parents all the time. The monster was more monstrous in the book. The other difference is in the book, the monster gets back at Victor by killing Elizabeth on their wedding night. So in the book, Victor and Elizabeth were an item right from the beginning.
Okay.
There was no William or any of that. That was all for this movie. But the monster went to Victor in the book. It was just like, hey, you know, I kind of want a companion, and Victor's like, no, you ain't gonna do that. And then the monster's like, okay, then I'm going to make me a companion, and he kills Elizabeth, and then, being grief-stricken, Victor then reanimates Elizabeth. The monster falls in love with her. Elizabeth kind of knows what's going on. She's reanimated. She ends up killing herself. And then this is where the two travel throughout the world, hunting each other, just like this movie does at the end. So, you know, that Bride of Frankenstein stuff comes from the original source material.
Got it. Okay. I kind of wondered if this movie was going to take that angle for a second.
They do that in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Again, a lot of people don't talk about it because do you remember when Gary Oldman came out with the Dracula movie in the 90s with Winona Ryder?
No.
Okay. So,
I'm missing like a whole...
So this happens, right? So this happens every once in a while, right? So in 1992, 93, there was a movie that came out called Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Gary Oldman's Dracula, starring Winona Ryder, and also Keanu Reeves. And then within a year or two after that release, we get Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. So one releases, the other one's going to follow. So me being a Frankenstein fan and not a Guillermo del Toro fan, I was kind of curious to see what this director would do with a project that he's been wanting to make for 30 years. Like, this is his baby. This is something he's always wanted to make.
Oh, okay.
So do you know anything about Guillermo del Toro?
I mean, a little bit.
Do you know any of his movies?
I'm sure I do. I'm just totally blanking right now. Oh, shoot.
Pan's Labyrinth would be one. Hellboy 1 and 2. And then the Oscar-nominated, I think, winner, Shape of Water.
Okay.
None of those?
No.
You never saw Hellboy 1 and 2?
No, I haven't.
Back when we were a kid? Okay. Yep, so he's known for this. Okay, so this kind of movie is a Guillermo del Toro movie. He likes to make movies that are about the abstract and obscure, but he also likes to have a lot of color. Yeah. Like, you know, it's like a lot of reds and a lot of greens popped in this movie.
Yes.
So he loves that. Also, when Victor was cutting up the bodies, Guillermo del Toro puts music into places where it shouldn't be. Like, Victor was cutting bodies up in this movie to create the monster, and Guillermo decides to put like ballet waltz music in the background. You know, like very pretty, very beautiful music with something so horrific. So this is interesting. For somebody like me, who is a Frankenstein fan, for somebody like you that just knows the bolts in the neck, what did you think you were getting yourself into? Were you thinking you were going to get bolts in the neck, it's alive, all that stuff? Like, what were you expecting to get out of this?
Well, because I didn't have that deep of knowledge, I went in with it with fresh eyes. And I said, all right, impress upon me your version of Frankenstein.
So did you know this was a book, though?
That rings a bell. I never had to read the book. And I know a lot of this stuff does come from books. A lot of these ancient movies that have been redone and redone, there's a lot of source material out there for them. So again, I kind of went into this zero expectations. I knew he was probably going to bring somebody to life, some creature to life. And there might be bolts in the neck. I'm not committed to that. Not like you are with the ruby red slippers for Dorothy. But again, I didn't have any kind of commitment to the character of the story. So it was actually really exciting for me.
Well, perfect. Yeah, because the original book is Frankenstein or The Modern Prometheus, written by Mary Shelley when she was 20 years old is when it was published.
Wow.
And the book just like Bram Stoker's Dracula book is very long in the tooth. It's Old English letters. It's a weird novel. But again, I find it fascinating for somebody like you to just come in this, because kind of clarifying for somebody like me that just absolutely loves this franchise, knowing all the different movies, the different lores, different styles, right? And you just knowing just the standard OG Frankenstein, I'm guessing from the 30s, right? It's so fascinating because this had to have been whiplash for you, right? This had to have been like, whoa, like this is completely different. Where it's alive? Where's Igor? You know, where is this stuff?
Kind of forgot about Igor, honestly, but that's okay. Like, I'm not again.
Okay.
I'm not so committed to the lore that things are going to be jarring to me. I was able to come into it with really zero expectations, which I think made me, instead of constantly seeing something, be like, oh, that's an interesting take on this story. I'm just like, whoa, that was crazy. What's going to happen next?
It is interesting, right? So knowing that I told you that this is the closest to the book, like this is like 90% of the book. Do you think it would be an interesting read then?
Yeah, actually I do.
It's a great way to open, right? This opening is great. This happens straight up from the book. You got these, I don't know if they're Norwegians or Germans. In the book, I believe they were Germans. I could be wrong. But they're trying to discover the North Pole. They stumble upon Victor Frankenstein. This all is from the book. You know, he stumbles upon the ship. You know, they try to nurse him to health. You know, then the monster shows up and just tears people apart. What a great action sequence. This is the most action you're going to get for majority of the movie. This is arguably one of the best scenes right in the beginning here.
Yeah, that was very jarring. I was like, wait, I really don't know anything about Frankenstein. Why are we on the boat?
It's so violent. I mean, like the monster, he's towering, he's brooding. Like there was one shot I kept on rewinding. You can watch this on Netflix. Is he out on the ice? He hits this guy, and because the punch was so hard, the guy like folds within himself, kind of like an accordion. Mm-hmm. Just like, oh my god,
yeah,
like this is brutal.
Just the sheer power and the creature-ness. I'm sure there's a better word for that, but what they do with his voice audibly, oh, I loved it.
So this guy is like a Gen Z heartthrob right now. This actor.
Really?
I don't know if you are aware. Yeah, I got to pull him up here. Who plays the monster? But he's like a Gen Z heartthrob. Every girl loves him. Let's see here. Pull him up. Let's see. Here we go. His name is Jacob. I'm gonna murder it. Jacob Elordi. Oof. I can't pronounce his name here. But here you go, so you can see what he looks like. This is the guy who played the monster. So he is considered a Gen Z heartthrob.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the movies he's done a lot so far. He's done the Kissing Booth trilogy, Deep Water, Saltburn, which we reviewed 2 years ago. So this guy is a star on the rise. And with this makeup, you can't even tell that's that guy.
Yeah, that's some pretty serious layers.
So, monster gets thrown into the ice, presumably drowns. Victor succumbing to his wounds. And the captain, which is his story's pretty much parallel of Victor's, right? Like this captain's going to stop at nothing. Spare no expense. Screw the men. We're getting to the North Pole. Come hell, high water, we're doing this. And then his story's mimicking with Victor, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you how I played God. Now, this stuff was not in the book. Him as a boy and his dad was a baron. None of that was in there. This was made up for this movie. Did you notice, too, that the actress that played Elizabeth also was playing his mother as well?
I had to double take. I thought maybe I was seeing things, and I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. That's probably
you got a lot of...
That's probably done for a reason.
Well, there's a lot of what's it? Fluoridating? You know what, the whole like mother-son complex, what do they call that thing?
Freudian.
Anyway, thank you. Because Victor doesn't drink in this movie, but guess what Victor drinks? Milk. You get it? And Elizabeth looks just like his mother, and he was completely thrown into his work until he saw Elizabeth, and he had to have Elizabeth. Right?
I also love that his dad was Tywin Lannister from the House of Cards.
See, now, that's another thing about film history, is that you know him from that. This is Charles Dance, fun actor of mine. Of course, me being a big Alien franchise that comes off of Alien 3, this guy plays no wrong. He also pulled this out of the woodworks, if you remember. He was the villain in Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero in 1993.
Oh, man.
Do you remember Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero?
Oh, yeah.
He was the bad guy with the glass eye all the time.
That's crazy. I hadn't thought about that movie in forever.
Yeah, we reviewed it a couple years ago. Charles Dance is one of those actors where he looks the same. He always plays the same characters, but my God, is he good playing slimy. And he's a good Baron here. He's a slimy character.
Oh, yeah.
Hates Victor.
Basically the same character in House of Cards, if I'm honest.
He plays the same character in every movie, and that's okay. Because that's what he's good at.
Yeah.
But, so we get, Victor's father, who is a baron who never is there. His mother and him are love each other to a certain degree, right? And she's already pregnant with the second child, right? Now, in the book, William is not a character. The William character in this movie is played by Victor's best friend in the book named Henry. So Guillermo del Toro just decided to change this up a little bit. Other than that, it's the same character. Just so you know.
Yeah, no, that's good knowledge.
Just so you know. So Victor's mom dies during pregnancy, blames his father. Great scene in the movie, too, where he says, his dad earlier is going to punish him by failing on a question. And he says, I'm not going to strike your hand because you need your hands, but your face, I'm going to strike your face. And then when the mom dies, right, and he calls his dad out, he's like, hey, I thought you were like the top surgeon science dude.
That's exactly what he said.
What happened?
That's crazy that you nailed that.
And his dad was like, how dare you speak to me? And yeah, I mean, he called him out. Knowing the book and knowing the other movies, dude, I don't like Victor Frankenstein. He takes me out of this movie all the way through, from the beginning to the end. Okay. Like, the kid stuff was annoying, right? But then when he gets shown as an adult, right, at the college, showing people his reanimation, because he's on trial essentially, right? Did you get that?
Yeah, he didn't think he was on trial.
No. But like that arrogance in that beginning scene when he's an adult, right? Perfect Victor Frankenstein, right? That's spot on. But every scene after that, man, like he's not a likable character. He's very shitty. And how he treats the creature is shitty. I get what Guillermo del Toro was doing. He's just like, okay, he doesn't know how to be a father because his father, the Baron, abused him physically and emotionally, so that's what he's going to do in his creation. Okay, fine. But that's not the character. So it kind of took me out of it.
Yeah, and I can understand that a little bit, but I think it's part of the journey, right? Because the whole end makes the journey justified. You have to hate him a little bit. And
a little bit,
a lot of it, depending on where you're at. But if I'm looking at, and this is where I always look at character development in a movie and how I judge it, is do I buy into the journey? do I buy into the journey the character's going on, up, down, sideways, wherever, and can I get along with the conclusion of the story arc with that particular character? Not every character. I mean, movies are limited time frame events. It's not like a TV show where everybody can get super happy endings. I mean, you're talking 2.5 hours to put your bow on story arcs, no matter where they're at. And with that valuable screen time, I think they nailed Victor, at least in this iteration that Guillermo that he was trying to do. The only thing that I would say is, I wish and this is gonna sound nuts, I wish I hated him more.
Oh, you didn't hate him when
I probably
he
didn't
was
hate him enough.
Yeah, because I really did. I mean, like, we'll get into it
Yes.
as we keep on going. But so Victor, this is where Victor reanimates the corpse on his little trial. The makeup effects in this is great. That was a puppet. That whole reanimated corpse thing when he was on trial, that whole thing was a puppet. Looked great, right? Del Toro's known for that, right? Not a lot of CG. Like, for an example, the lab, right? I think the lab is a great set. That thing's a set. Normal movies nowadays would just all be blue screen on this, right? They found that, and then they expanded upon it. So that is on location set. The laboratory castle. It's great.
That's insane.
Of course, they added to it with movie magic,
Well,
but the core of it, you know.
It makes me appreciate the lengths that these folks do too, that these folks go to with their craft. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that it's still that there's still some who, like, you know what? Screw being on a soundstage. Let's go out into the actual world and do some of this shooting.
I mean, that's what he's known to do, right? He's known to do these wacky, crazy things that people generally don't do. And again, I'm not a fan of his work, but that's why I'm excited, because I'm respecting it. Because if you got a director that is clearly a visionary, I mean, I may not like his stuff, but the guy has a vision. And if he has been on record 15 years ago saying 10 years prior to 15 years ago that he wrote a Frankenstein script, and that's all that he ever wants to make. Like, if it's the only movie he could ever make for the rest of his life, he would make Frankenstein. And now it finally happened. Okay. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, this is something you've wanted to do for a long time. So I'm curious on the vision. So, reanimating the dead corpse happens. And this is where he meets Christoph Waltz, who he's great in this movie. He's fun. He's exactly what he needs to be. He's kind of the Igor character. But Christoph Waltz's career has been kind of interesting ever since Tarantino. What do you think?
Say more about that. What am I missing?
So Christoph Waltz, right, who's this rich guy, all right, the rich guy in the movie that's like, hey, spare no expense, right? Yeah. He got his start with Tarantino's Inglourious Bastards. That was his first movie as the Jew hunter.
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that was his first one.
Yeah, that was his very first one, because Tarantino, you can YouTube it. It's great. It's a great interview. Tarantino said that he wrote Inglourious Bastards, and they were casting it for a year. Can you imagine casting a movie for a year? And he could not find anybody to play the Jew hunter. He auditioned thousands of actors, respected actors, like where Hollywood would say yes, but they couldn't do the part right, to where he found Christoph Waltz in Germany on stage performing and said, that's the guy.
That's wild. I'm gonna have to check that out.
You never seen Glorious Bastards?
No, I've seen that, but look into how he found Christoph Waltz and how that all went down.
Yeah. Of course, I'm using my words. It's more articulate than that. But then Christoph Waltz's second movie after Inglourious Bastards was Django Unchained.
Okay, yeah.
But then he's done bit parts, right? He was Blofeld in the new Bond movies. He was kind of iffy on that. But he's been showing up in movies ever since Tarantino, but there never been big, grandiose parts. The Jew Hunter, big, grandiose part. His character in Django Unchained, grandiose, big part. He's been playing little parts. So to see him here in a Frankenstein movie, knowing that he can be big in a good way, I'm curious what he's going to bring to the table. He doesn't bring much to the table in this movie, but I like him and Victor's camaraderie a little bit. They both were fighting, but Christoph Waltz has a secret that he doesn't want to tell.
Yeah, and
right?
I thought they did that percolated my interest quite a bit on numerous occasions. So good job to the team there. But I'm sitting here wondering, like, all right, what's going to be the conclusion of this arrangement? Because nobody just gives money for free. Nobody gives all these resources for free. There's going to be something that he wants.
Right, and everybody that's listening, and when somebody says, I don't want a favor, but maybe in the future, don't take that deal. Don't take that deal. But to add more to this, Christoph Waltz's character, his niece is Elizabeth, and Victor's brother, William, is said to have been married or going to be wed to Elizabeth, right? So they're going to spare no expense, right? John Hammond, Jurassic Park, and we're going to create this creature. Some scenes are crazy, right? So like there's public hangings, right? Which, what a time to live. And like Victor Frankenstein would go to the public hangings and like personally inspect each person, and didn't even treat them like human beings. Like he expected this one guy, and the one guy opened his mouth and like coughed, and Victor's like, congratulations on being hung, because you ain't going to live a year. See you later.
Yeah.
I mean, what a cold-hearted son of a bitch, right? Just, but then there's a war going on. Perfect time to get bodies, right? Perfect time. While all this is going on, he's starting to court Elizabeth, right? He pretends to be a priest when she goes to confession. She knows that he's doing it, right? They go on a little dinner date. Definitely flirtation going on there. A little bit.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, man, is this going to be the trope where he steals the brother's love? And I'm not really interested in that. I really hope that doesn't happen. And then, spoiler alert, doesn't work out.
Well, an hour into this movie is where he finally gets the creation. Now, I pride myself on not getting grossed out with movies, right? Because I know it's all fake. It's a movie, right? But when he was dismembering the bodies, there's a few scenes where I had to go and look away a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like when he was just taking the dead guy's leg and just nonchalantly cutting it with a bone saw, just hacking it off. Just I'm like, oof, right? And then he cuts a guy's arm off and he peels skin off, right? And then he puts his hand into a dead guy's hand so he can see like the tendons, like very gruesome looking stuff. No blood, but just like, ugh.
Yeah, I like, how do I say this? It was gory without being over the top gory. I think it was just the right amount of showing the body parts and the flesh of it all. And I think a lot of directors probably struggle with that on the balance. And at least for me, it wasn't over the top. I kind of find myself getting annoyed when it's over the top blood and guts or whatever. Now, obviously, like a movie like Inglourious Bastards, for example, like it's kind of comical. Like the blood and the violence is comical to a point. But in this, doesn't bother me. I'm good.
Well, it definitely gets you into the movie, right? Because for you to go, ugh, right? It's working. Mary Shelley herself, if she was here today, would tell you that this movie or this book is not supposed to be gory. It's not a horror novel. It's actually a romance novel. So gore is not really its main factor. I mean, it is. It is a romance novel, if you think of it.
Okay. Yeah, I can buy into that.
No? Yeah. I'm just saying. So monster's going to get created, and this is where I really did dig everything here. So this is where Victor's getting ready to go, right? We have the lightning bolts coming, right? We got the body of the creature ready to go, right? Everything's ready. So he's going to go to Christoph Waltz. Say, hey, man, we got to go. And he walks into Christoph Waltz's bedroom, and Christoph Waltz goes behind the curtain. He's just like, give me my pills or something and my cane. And Victor takes out the vial, and he says, mercury. And he gives it to Christoph Waltz, who has no hair, right? He's sick. I love this because Victor Frankenstein says, do you have syphilis? And Christoph Waltz's response, I'm going to murder it. But it was like, I loved Victoria for one night, but now I have mercury for the rest of my life or something like that. Clearly, he got it from having sex.
Yeah, I think it was spend a night with Venus, the rest of your life with Mercury.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. I love that line.
Yeah, that was
good. Because it told me, oh, you had a good time with Venus, huh? Yeah. Now he has syphilis. And I had to rewind it twice, so correct me if I'm wrong, but his goal was, I want you to kill me and put my brain in the creatures. Is that what he wanted him to do?
That's kind of the vibe that I got, like, that he wanted him to put, he wanted to be a part of it. Some part of him to be a part of it. And that
seemed like his brain.
Well, but that was the point that Victor says. He goes, it's infected. The disease has infected every single part of your body, and he rattles off, his organs and his brain and everything. He's like, it wouldn't be any good. You'd be ruined.
Right. Weird thing. I had to look this up. So Victor goes up, puts the rod up top, right? Comes back down. Christoph Waltz and him start having an argument. They start to get into a scuffle. Christoph Waltz falls into this giant vacuum tube in the top tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just falls straight to his death. Do you know what that actually is for?
No.
I Googled it because I was like, this doesn't make any sense, and I know they filmed on location. That is supposed to be for irrigation for crops.
Oh.
So go with me on this. They built this huge tower, right? This castle tower, and they have this huge funnel, right? And that funnel goes all the way down, and it goes into the catacombs, right? And if you notice in the catacombs, it goes into this like little creek underneath the castle where the monster stays, and it goes out, right? That is to help. Well, that's flooding. That's to help like irrigation of crops. That was the design of that original building.
I'm so glad you
Crazy.
know all this stuff about this building. I was kind of
I Googled it.
I was kind of wondering, like, I wonder how much of this is real, because that was very particular.
Well, because like it's this is me going down the rabbit hole, right? This is me getting nerdy. It's like, okay, so knowing that they filmed this stuff on location, they had some movie magic. What's with this funnel, right? Like, was that funnel there? Was this movie magic? What's going on? And so it is just Googled shit. Just found stuff. And in reality, that funnel was not there, right? So they like redid that in the studio on the soundstage. But the actual building itself had that to a certain degree.
Okay.
And that's what they used. So Christoph Waltz and him gets into a fight, right? Christoph Waltz is trying to hanging in the funnel, loses his grip, right? Victor loses the grip. Waltz falls to his death, smashes his head. Victor goes down, and like Victor's not human at this point, right? Like Victor goes down, looks at Christoph Waltz. You could tell he's kind of like, oh man, that sucks. And then he lifts him up to see maybe if I could save his brain. And his brain was just mush.
Yeah.
Just completely smashed. And boom, right? Lightning happens. Creature gets created. Victor's spent. He's tired. He goes to bed. He gets woken up by the creature the next day. I was shocked. I did not like the initial look of this creature. This is not what I'm used to. The different skin tones and just the way he looked. How did you feel the creature looked?
I mean, like I said, I didn't go in with any impressions. I figured he wasn't going to be green. So, I was here for it. I was like, all right, this is what our creature is going to look like. Let's go.
I'm really interested to see if you ever get a chance to watch Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Robert De Niro as the monster. They really, really emphasize in that movie that he's made from different parts. You know,
Mm-hmm.
this movie, it just seems like a guy that has some scars, and you know what I mean. Like it just a big, like a kind of like an NBA player with scars.
Well, I mean,
You know, like
they took care of that in the scenes leading up to his creation. You know, they were chopping him up and other bodies of all the soldiers they pulled out of that battlefield. You know, took got a guy's knee out here, an arm, a hand, and so you know, I was with it. I bought in.
Did you hear why they did this and why the creature needed to be tall? Did you hear what Victor's little drop line was?
Something about scale.
Yeah. Why are we making it tall? These are my words. Because it's scale. Not going to make a genus size creature.
Yeah.
It's going to be too small. Okay, you got to make big size. You know. So anyway, Victor immediately is smitten with his creation. He can't believe it, right? Creature's first words is Victor, straight from the book. That's great, you know, and but this is where I turn on Victor. He starts to become very abusive. He takes the creature down to the catacombs, chains him up. Now, later on in the movie here, Elizabeth and William show up, and Elizabeth is kind of like appalled that he's doing that. I would do the same thing. I don't know about you, dude. But if I just created a zombie, I'm going to chain him up for a minute.
Oh,
you know, because Victor says, well, it's for my safety and for his safety. You know, like
yeah, you don't know what this thing's capable of. You're lucky it wasn't beating the snot out of you while you were sleeping in bed. It was just standing at the
or chewing on your brains.
Right. Chewing on my brains. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that it's a zombie.
Brains. It is. It's a reanimated corpse. That's the definition of a zombie.
But this one has intelligence.
There's a lot of zombie movies where zombies have intelligence, but it's a reanimated corpse. Okay. Right?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on zombie definitions, so I'm gonna let you have that one.
Don't get me started. I'll nerd you out on that one too.
Let's just stay with Frankenstein.
Yes, let's stay with Frankenstein. So Victor becomes very verbally abusive towards him. So you said that you did not share my opinion that I kind of didn't like him. How do you feel, Victor? I mean, do you think that Victor was too abusive to the creature on this? Like, how do you feel he treats him on this?
Yeah, and I think Victor's treatment of the creature is a reflection on his satisfaction with his work. Because as crazy it is that he got this thing to come back to life, it appears to him that it has no intelligence, that it has no soul, that it has no... And there was a line, gosh, I wish I remember who said it. Somebody said, you know, are you sure that you got the part put in that contains the soul? And he says, no, I'm not. I don't think I know that. And so there's this very, very tangible disappointment in my eyes that he has with creature. That's why he's poured gasoline all over the place. He's getting ready to light it on fire, and he still says, creature, help me save you. Say something and I'll save you. Anything else.
And all I can say is Victor.
And he's almost out the door, and the creature goes up there.
And that's what made him go, And he starts to walk out again. This creature's screaming for its life because the whole place on fire. Victor. Victor screwed up. He just needed to put his 21 grams into the creature, and it would have been fine. Do you get that reference?
Oh, my God. No, I don't.
There's a movie called 21 Grams.
Okay.
So it's a horror movie, but you'll find this fun because you brought up a soul. You know how science is always trying to disprove religion, right? Yeah. There's something with science that cannot be figured out yet. But when you die, everybody dies. When you die, your body loses 21 grams of weight. Every single person. Instantly.
It's the weight,
religious folk
the weight of
say.
breath and energy inside of your body as it dissipates.
They say it's the soul. That's what religious people say. That's why I brought it up.
Interesting. I'm gonna definitely be digging into that one, trying to go to sleep tonight.
Yeah, everybody loses 21 grams instantly. It's crazy, right? So Victor burns the place down. The creature's begging for help, right? And then Victor has a change of heart to show that he's human. He runs back in, but he couldn't get in fast enough. Big explosion, and what a brutal, violent scene. His leg is just shattered off of him, hanging by a thread.
Yeah, that was probably the most gruesome part. Is seeing him like that, because I felt that injury. I felt that through the screen.
Oh yeah.
And then of course
here
comes William and Elizabeth. Or no, just Elizabeth, right?
Just Elizabeth, yeah. And then we cut back to the boat, and like Victor's kind of done telling his story, but then the monster shows up, right? And this is our first time seeing the monster, full makeup, long hair, coat, face, and the monster's intelligent. He's just like, so that's just Victor's story, huh? Let me tell you my story. I'm also going to say, before I forget, that Victor is a totally unreliable narrator. I don't know what we saw even happen, because if you remember, there's a stupid line that he says in the beginning of the movie when he's on the boat talking to the captain, where he's like, I'm going to tell you a story. Some is true, some is not true, but I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah, or like some of it's not true, but all of it happened. It's like, well, what does that mean?
Right. So I'm kind of glad then we get the monster's point of view, right? We get his version and how he escaped, which makes total sense, right? Because he has super strength. He escapes. He goes into the woods, right? He stumbles upon this house, right, with this family. Now, in the book, there is no house. It's just a blind guy.
Oh, okay.
In the book, he's just a blind guy, so the blind guy can't see how grotesque the creature is. But then, for a whole year, what they say are multiple seasons is what they say. He teaches the creature how to be human.
And this was the part of the movie that was slightly distracting for me, because all I saw were parallels to Beauty and the Beast, while Belle was trying to humanize the Beast, dress up the Beast, teach the Beast how to use forks and spoons and knives, how to dance properly. Now, and again, I think that's kind of necessary, right? The creature is learning what it means to maybe be alive, to be human, even though he's not.
Mm-hmm.
He's an amalgamation of human parts, but this is what's giving the creature some kind of meaning to go forward. It's not just going to be mindlessly walking around.
I like his way of like observing. He's just like, so the hunters don't hate the wolves don't hate the hunters, they just hunt each other or something like that. I'm just like, oh my God, what a great way of analogy. That's great, right? So then he befriends the blind man. Blind man teaches him things. Blind man, gives him the strength to go back to the castle, right? And he finds out. The creature finds out who he is, how he was created, who's Victor Frankenstein. Unfortunately, he comes back, and the blind man is torn to shred by wolves. And my second favorite scene in the movie, the most goriest scene in the movie, worse than Victor's leg, I hope you know what I'm talking about. A wolf jumps on the creature's back, and the creature goes behind him and just skins the wolf while he's biting his neck. I'm just like, oh, that's so great! Like it was awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
I did like that. I was like, God damn. And the blind man is dying. They're having their conversation, and then the people come back and shoot the monster. The monster rips a guy's jaw off. Very violent.
Oh gosh, that was amazing.
That was great. And then they keep on shooting him, right? And then the monster falls down dead. Well, clearly he's not dead because he's telling the story, but then he tells something. This doesn't happen in the book. This is a new thing for this movie, and I kind of like it. after the monster dies, he said, and just like before, silence. And then he said he comes back. He said his curse is that he cannot die. I didn't know how I initially, when I heard that, I was like, arms folded. But after I thought about it more, I was like, okay, that's a very interesting take. Like, Victor wanted, the whole point of this was because he couldn't save his mother, that he loved more than anything. That's the whole genesis of this. So, okay, he's going to create this being and make sure that the being, accidentally, make sure that the being can not do the one thing, die.
Right.
That's great. I love that part.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because I'll say more at the end.
So this is where we get into like the last 30 minutes of the movie, where William and Elizabeth are to be wed. Victor has a prosthetic leg, right? And Victor's just kind of like this drunken mess, if you will. And it's the night of the wedding, and the creature shows up to confront Victor, and he's just like, "Hey, bud, you created me here, and don't like it. Don't like it one bit. So need you to create me a woman." And Victor is saying the same thing that everybody will say. He's like, "You want me to create a woman? What happens if you reproduce? What's that going to be like? I ain't going to do that shit, bud. Ain't happening." You know? And creature's like, "Oh, I'm angry."
Yeah.
And then this is where the creature like runs into Elizabeth, right? And they have their moment. I will say that I don't like the creature and Elizabeth's love triangle thing, right? Because in other movies, in other stories, and in the book, you know, she's terrified of the monster. This is why in those stories in the book, she becomes herself a monster. She becomes the bride of Frankenstein. So, interesting take that she... Well, I know she loves the monster, right? She's motherly, right? She's caring.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know that she was necessarily in love by any means. It tickled this fancy that she had, and she says that something as much towards the end of her existence. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm. And this is when William come in and the monster's there, and then they're going to shoot the monster. Elizabeth jumps into the bullet. Victor kills Elizabeth. How poetic is that, right? You know, William freaking gets it, right? And then William gives us the worst line in the movie because it's pretty much a tagline. You know, so William's dying, he's talking to Victor, and he's just like, "Victor, you are the monster." Yeah. Just like, oh my God.
He's like, oh,
no.
good, he's dead. He died with a terrible line. See you later. Bye.
In the monster takes Elizabeth to the cave. You know, she's bleeding out. You know, they have their moment. Elizabeth dies, and Victor shows up, and the monster just beats the crap on him, like breaks his nose, throws him around, and then just like the book, I've said that a lot. That's a drinking game for me, just like the book. The rest of the story is just them two traveling the world, hunting each other. And what this movie doesn't do that the book does is that what you see when the monster catches up with him, like in like the North Pole area, right, when Victor's with the dogs and he's in the tent, you know, that happens numerous times in different parts of the world. Like, that's what I wish they would have done. Like, you know, like they would go to certain places, the monster would find Victor and then beat the crap out of Victor. And then Victor would take 6 months or a year to recoup. And then he would go after the monster and the same thing would happen again.
Yeah.
So they skip that stuff.
I wish there was a little bit more. I mean, at this point, it's already been like 2.5 hours and they need to wrap it up. I wish there was a little bit more development between Elizabeth and Victor and a little bit more of maybe them gallivanting around trying to kill each other. But, you know, it's nice that it came full circle. You're back to the beginning of the movie where the folks on the boat, they come across them, they pick them up. And, you know, now here we are. We're here at this climactic scene on the boat. between the creature and Victor.
And this is where they say their goodbyes to each other, and Victor finally calls the creature son. Creature calls Victor father, right? And then the creature, moves the boat, right? So they can escape and move on. In the novel, a little bit different. The monster acts to take Victor's body, and the monster burns himself with Victor's body on a iceberg kind of thing. But,
Wow. So the whole ice
Kind of.
part of the story is accurate, though.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, check out Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. The only thing before we get the popcorn rating is The Bride of Frankenstein. Do you wish, seeing this movie now, that he would have done what they did in the book, where the monster sought revenge, so he killed Elizabeth, and then Victor, out of grief, reanimated her, and then the monster tried to take her, but Victor wouldn't let her, to where she killed herself as a creature?
That's interesting.
Would you have rather seen that?
No, I don't think so.
Really? See, I would
That'd
have.
be too much Elizabeth. I get really bored of movies that feel like they haphazardly include love stories when the main plot of like life and death or creation or monster or whatever it happens to be, it is a heavy enough trope to carry the flick. I didn't really care that, Elizabeth doesn't become the bride to Frankenstein's monster, or there for a minute it looked like that Victor was going to steal her away. I'm kind of glad that they didn't give him that satisfaction. It's one more regret of his life, probably. I like it when movies intentionally leave things in a dissonant state, where it's either not concluded or not. There's not a bow on it. It's a tension that exists in the story, and that tension is
What's in the box?
Yeah, the tension is what drives everything else forward. But I'm really interested to hear your rating on this one. But
so my popcorn rating is teetering to a large, possible a medium, but I did enjoy it. I'm happy that Guillermo del Toro finally got a chance to make his movie that he's been wanting to make. I think Oscar Isaac is a star that doesn't get the deserving clout that he gets. Oscar Isaac, this guy who's played Victor, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, Star Wars and everything.
Oh my gosh,
so I mean,
lots of
he's
stuff.
he's the best thing that's come out of the sequel trilogy so far, right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe Kylo Ren. That actor's great, but this was great. This was close to the book. I enjoyed it. There were some issues, like I've said, that I've had. It's not a perfect movie, but I'm definitely going to go back to the well and drink some more. Like, I'm definitely going to watch some scenes again. I'm definitely going to check it out again. So, you know what? I'm going to give it a large just because I want to, because I don't know where you're going with this. However, though, Movie Guys rules, and if you're a first-time listener, if Chad gives this movie a large, then this movie's automatically nominated for Film of the Year for Movie Guys Awards next year. So I'm kind of curious. Eric, I'm just used to that. I'm sorry. Chad, what is your popcorn rating for Frankenstein 2025?
I teetered a lot, and perhaps it's because I don't have a lot of history with Frankenstein, or really, honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with horror flicks or anything that's supposed to be scary or anything in that department. That being said, I had fun with this. I thought maybe it went a touch long, but I don't know what you would have.
I would agree.
I don't know what you would have adjusted. I thought the story was complete. It did what it needed to do. I liked the character development. I felt happy with how everybody ended up, perfect or not. I'm giving it a big bag.
Interesting.
I'm giving it a big bag.
You're gonna give it a
I'm
what?
giving it a large bag.
All right. You're gonna give it a large bag. I give it a large bag. That means this movie's automatically nominated for Film of the Year for the Movie Guys Awards next year.
All right.
Is this now? I say this every time when a movie gets both large bags. Really think about this rating now. This is to confuse you. Do you think this movie is Film of the Year material? Since it's automatically nominated now.
Yeah. I do.
Do you think this movie's Film of the Year material?
I do. I think not. Now that's me saying that without seeing what else is nominated this year. But
This is the first one.
oh really? Okay. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The months are off by one. Yeah. I think because I'm not a big fan of cringy stuff, and if something makes me feel cringy, I'm not going to give it a lot of love. But I didn't feel pulled out of the movie just about ever. The only things that were pulling me out was kids and like real life stuff trying to take me away. But I was pulled in. I was immersed into Frankenstein for the duration of the flick. As much as you
Well,
can.
that makes me happy that you liked it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it, man.
Yeah.
That makes me happy to hear it. It sounds like you and I got to get together in the future, and I got to show you a lot of horror flicks.
Yeah.
That's what it That's what it sounds
And I'll
like.
make sure my kids have to watch it too.
Yeah, I think showing them they live. I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yeah.
Will be a great movie for them to see.
All right. Well, I'm glad we both gave it large bags. That's great.
Yeah, all right, different than Smashing Machine, right? Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to this most recent episode of Movie Guys Podcast. You can check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. We're on those platforms. And also check us out on Movie Guys Podcast at podbean.com. Chad, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll be back next Thursday for another awesome episode. Have a good night.
I'm not gonna fight you on it.
What?
That's your life. That's what you want to do. Do it. Go for it.
I'm justifying my actions, and I want you to help me justify my actions.
No.
What's wrong with theater beers?
It's I don't know. It seems like it's worse than sneaking candy in.
You took one of my theater beers,
Well, yeah. I mean,
so
it was there.
you're just as guilty as I
Yeah, I'm
am.
guilty by association.
So here you
I'm
are,
guilty by association. They were
pot kettle
they
black.
were beer.
I-
They were
come
beers of
on.
convenience. I'm not the one that got them in there. I just partook.
So I am the alcoholic of the group.
I don't think you're an alcoholic, but I don't know.
Chad,
I
we're doing a
don't know what Justin's
Chad.
doing.
We're doing a bit. We're doing a bit.
I don't know. We're gonna have, instead of it being a recital tomorrow, you're actually gonna be. It's a what's it called when everybody's sick of your shit and they confront you about the crap that you're doing.
An intervention.
Yeah, we're gonna do an intervention at the Swanton High School tomorrow.
So I'm gonna be
mom's-
the guy from.
Your mom's gonna come out on stage.
I'm be-
My Jordan, my baby. It started when you took drugs from me, and now you're drunk.